How do you approach your child's teacher with a question or if you had a concern? I'm Dustin, and this is Education Explained K-12. With 26 years of experience in the ed sector, I've worn a lot of hats: teacher, consultant, school administrator, and now a school district superintendent. And in this episode, I'll share with you some tips about how to approach your child's teacher. So if you've ever attended interviews with your child at the school, you may have struggled about exactly what kinds of questions to ask, what sort of things you should look for. So here's a few pointers on conversation starters and I think some key questions that you should be asking whenever you have an opportunity to meet with your child's teacher. So also I know firsthand that, sometimes as adults and as parents, we can be uncomfortable approaching the teacher or school administration about a concern that you might have. And so I want to assure you that that's perfectly all right. And, it's normal to maybe be reluctant from time to time, but it's really easy, and it's about opening up communication with the adults working with your kids. So I'm going to share with you a few tips on how you might go about that. The first and most important thing is to get to know your child's teacher. So regardless of what you know about your child's teacher or the school, regardless of what you've heard or think you know, they remember that they got into education because they wanted to help kids, right? Just as you come across a nurse or a doctor, their core issue, right, is about supporting people's wellness. So you want to keep that perspective when you go to meet with the teacher. Now, regardless of the personality style or maybe their style or, their reputation, remember, they're there to help kids, including yours. So I would suggest, first of all, ask to get to know the teacher a little bit. Ask about their passions. Ask about why they got into education. How long have they been at the school? What do they like teaching at the school? Remember, they're spending a lot of time every day and week with your child. So you want to establish a working, open relationship with them. Perhaps that teacher's involved in some after-school programming or really passionate about something. It's good to know that information. You're trying to build that relationship. They could be your child's teacher for years and years, especially if you're in a small school environment. So it's really important to, spend that time to get connected and get to do that. The other thing, remember, is that the teacher and the school is in a really unique position to observe your child as they are in their interactions with their peers, their classmates, their learning style, and so much more. So it's really important to have that working relationship where you've got the trust and you have the ability to communicate, especially when concerns may arise. The second thing you want to do is ask the teacher about the units, the topics of study, the purpose of the study, the outcomes, the core learning that's going to happen. You want to know what they're learning and what they're learning next. So, understanding what's the most important thing I need to learn in grade 6 science. That's something that you would want to know. You may want to ask if there's any interesting projects or things that are going to be coming up in the next little while. All those things will be important to helping you to be able to support your child. What are the classroom and school rules and expectations related to behavior and related to learning? Perhaps your child is struggling with some aspect of that or excelling. You need to know that and ask that question. Now, if you're discussing a concern that you have with the teacher, I just really encourage you to listen to get the teacher's side and perspective. The common sense approach of gather all the facts before you react, really important. Make sure that you gather all the information. It's also important to ask a teacher to review your child's assessment results. It's not to judge the quality of the assessment. The teacher's the expert, but you really want to understand your child's learning. You want to understand what level they're learning at and why or why not. And you would be surprised at what you can understand when you read, for example, your child's writing or when you look at their math results. You can get a better understanding of your child's learning. So it's really important to do that. And remember that different teachers will have different assessment styles. They'll be similar. They'll all meet some sort of standard, but there's an art in teaching and assessing, and so you may see that between teacher. It may be different, and that's perfectly normal. Now, my last thing is actually I think most important, and you need to ask this question. Ask directly. Now, lastly, and this is sort of my secret tip, but this is the most important question you need to ask. Ask them, is there anything about my child or their learning that we did not get to discuss or share that you think is important I know as a parent? I can tell you from inside the schoolhouse, that is the most important question to ask. Why? Because you want to create an opportunity to be completely transparent and open with the people that are spending so much time with your children. If they have observed something positive or concerning that you haven't noticed as a parent, you're creating an environment where they trust you, that they can be open and answer that question with you. Maybe they've noticed a deep passion that your child is really excelling at. That's a wonderful celebration. But also maybe they've noticed that their friend group is changing or that there's a concerning behavior emerging. Creating an ability to have communication with the teacher will allow you to get that honest feedback that you really want to have as a parent. Opening the door for communication with those crucial adults in your child's life at the school is a really important concept to work through. Now, if you're working through a concern with the teacher or with the school, if you're not satisfied with the response you get, by all means, you need to say, I'm not satisfied with the response. What do I do to take this further? And they're going to direct you probably to school administration or a superintendent at a district level, which is completely fine. In all honesty, in my experience, 99.9% of concerns are solved and addressed quickly when the concern is brought up and the people involved in the initial concern have an opportunity to discuss it and have an ability to work through it. That's not to say in every case that things are all rosy and work out just great. But in all honesty, it's just important to have that chance to gather things together and have that conversation. So there you go. There's my tips on how to approach a teacher or school when you have questions or interviews or if you had concerns. As always, be sure to leave a comment or question down below if you want to learn more about. If you have a topic you'd like me to learn more about or to talk more about. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to consider checking out some of my other videos. This one up here is a great one, and here's another one here on how to support your child to have a great year. So wishing you a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.